use she and her pronouns, and I am the Staff and Policy Director here at the Miami Worker Center. And we are here to celebrate. So here at the Miami Worker Center, we believe in prioritizing Black and brown women to fight poverty. And we call it the Femme Agenda. We're so grateful that in this legislative session, in partnership with Rep. Joseph, we have done just that. Today, we are excited to announce that HB 563, a bill that will provide unemployment compensation to victims of domestic violence, has passed in the Florida House. And and it's on its way to the Florida Senate, which is one step closer to being signed into law here in Florida.
Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move.
All right now. All right. This bill will allow victims of domestic violence to qualify for unemployment compensation benefits if they have to leave their jobs to protect themselves or the people around them. This is what's possible when politicians put people, when they put Black and brown women at the center of their work. Legislation that works for everybody. So again, we are grateful to our representative who represents this district, who stands here with us today, and to Senate Minority Leader Audrey Gibson, Black women who have championed this bill very, very boldly. We're also grateful for the unanimous bipartisan support thus far. This bill has been a long time coming. Many, many years, many organizations, many setbacks, many triumphs. And to give some of that history, I'd like to introduce Marcia Olivo, the Executive Director of the Miami Worker Center.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Marcia Olivo, and I am the Executive Director here at the Miami Workers Center. And today is a day of last when was it? Tuesday? When was the vote? Thursday? Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I was here sitting and I cried and cried and cried, just thinking about the history of this legislation, but also thinking about all the survivors that have been since the beginning. Serena was reminding me that the first time that we brought this legislation to Tallahassee was in 2011, when the new FM office was over there at the Citadel. That was the first office that we have where the Citadel is today. That I remember the planning meetings on the first trip to Tallahassee. But this legislation also, like remembering like all the women like that. We slept on the floors, we ride so many buses, we slept in churches. It was the first time that survivors had the courage to come out and say, I'm a survivor, and I need economic security in order to be able to break the cycle of poverty and the cycle of abuse that I've been in. It was many years that the reason why we took this legislation to Tallahassee was because, especially during the beginning of the school year, we saw so many women that they have be able to leave the abuser, but at the beginning of the school year they had to go back to their abuser because they didn't have the means to provide the children with basic things as school supplies. So it was many. I remember the case of Brenda, one of our members, that when we met Brenda, she was living in her car with her 2 children because she didn't want to go back to her abuser. Eventually she had to go back because her son was going to, in process of going to college, and she couldn't pay by herself. I remember coming back from Tallahassee, and one of the survivors that we took to Tallahassee, when she came back, her ex-husband found out that she was in Tallahassee, and she got beat up so bad when she came back because she was in Tallahassee fighting for this legislation. There's so many stories here, like Wanda and I were talking today, and how she was saying, and it's her story, but like how all the what if at that time we wouldn't have that legislation, if all the things that had happened to her family, not just the abuse, the physical abuse that happened to her, but like everything that happened to her children would be preventable. What if? So today, thank you to the effort of Representative Joseph and all the other all the survivors, Jasmine in Tallahassee, and all the people that have been working so hard to make this happen. Like, we are this close for Florida becoming the 42nd state that provides unemployment compensation to survivors of DV. And we know that this is not the answer to this crisis. We know that it's not the final answer to this emergency, that is finding solution to all this violence that is impacting families, that is impacting women and girls, that is impacting people that are in bad relationship. And the main root cause of that is poverty. Because if we had the means, a lot of women would be able to break that cycle. So thank you so much. We are this close to be the 42nd state. But today also, the call that we are making to everyone that is here and everyone that is watching at home is that it's not over. So we still need the Senate to do the work that it needs to do. And we need for the governor to sign that legislation too. So we need everyone to continue doing the work until we have that paper that is ready for implementation. And right after that, we need to continue doing the work to make sure also that the implementation is happening in a way that dignifies people and that brings justice to all the survivors. Thank you so much for all the work that you all have been doing so that Florida can become the 42nd state that recognizes domestic violence as a just cause to qualify for unemployment compensation. I also want to thank the new Florida majority, the National Latina for Reproductive Justice, the Florida Immigrant Coalition, Power You, all the organizations that throughout the years have been traveling with us to Tallahassee and doing all the work to make this happen. And one organization that is close to my heart is the Victims Response Inc., the Lodge. And Angela Diaz is here today, and she's the ED at the Lodge. She also has been from day one fighting with us since 2011, fighting with us like from giving us financial support to speaking on events that we needed them to bring their story and what happening at the shelter and how this legislation will help to save lives. But also, every time that we have a survivor and we need a bed, that's a shelter that we call, and if they don't have one, they're gonna make everything possible to find a place for those survivors. Thank you so much for all that work.
Thank you. So again, this campaign has been pushed by survivors. So the next two people that you'll hear from are both survivors of violence. We'll hear from Wanda Gomez and Demetria Stratford. So Wanda.
Yay! Yeah! Yeah!
Adrian, you wanna help us with translation?
Yeah.
Interpretation.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Wanda Gómez.
Good morning. My name is Wanda Gomez.
Soy sobreviviente de violencia doméstica.
I'm a survivor of domestic violence.
Sobreviví a 5 puñaladas que me propinó mi expareja, el padre de uno de mis hijos.
I survived 5 punches, 5 physical attacks that my ex-boyfriend did to me, who's also the father of my sons.
Hoy estoy sumamente agradecida primeramente con Dios y después con la representante de la Casa del Distrito 108, la señora Dottie Joseph.
I am extremely grateful today. It's first of all to God, and then also to Representative of House District 108, Dottie Joseph.
La directora del Miami Worker Center, Marcy Olivo, y todo el equipo de Miami Worker Center.
To the director of the Miami Worker Center, Marcy Olivo, and the entire Miami Worker Center team.
Y todas las sobrevivientes de violencia doméstica que también de una manera u otra hemos hecho que esto sea posible.
And all of the other survivors of domestic violence that from one way or another have made this moment possible.
Ya que han sido muchos años de lucha, muchos viajes a Tallahassee, muchas reuniones para poder identificar de qué manera podíamos hacer algo que disminuya la violencia doméstica y que más víctimas de sobrevivientes de violencia doméstica y sus hijos puedan salir vivas.
It's been many years of fighting, lots of trips to Tallahassee, and lots of meetings to be able to identify the way that we're going to be able to diminish the domestic violence that people experience, and also the more and more victims of domestic violence and their children that they have to live.
y con una forma de apoyo económico para encontrar un lugar seguro fuera del abusador y sin la barrera de que no podrán salir porque no tendrán un lugar donde ir debido a que perderían sus ingresos y sin tener que dejar sus trabajos obligadas por la situación. Sabemos que esto no será un obstáculo más para salir, para salvar vidas, y aunque estamos conscientes de que la violencia doméstica no va a terminar del todo, estamos seguros que será un gran paso que disminuya y un gran porcentaje de los casos, especialmente de muerte.
Debt to owed to the fact that one way or another, and through economic support, we find a safe place for women who are victims of abuse, away from the abuser and without any kind of barriers, so that they can go out and they won't have to fight about where it is that they're going to be able to go, and not have to worry about losing their income, and without having to worry about losing their job, just all because of the situation. We also know that these things should not be an obstacle, so that they can be able to go out and live the lives that they want, so that they can save themselves, and although we are very aware of the fact that domestic violence is not going to end 100% because of this bill, we are 100% sure that this is a big step in the right direction, and it definitely diminishes the great percentage of the cases, specifically the cases that result in death.
Yes. Yes.
También me pregunto yo, y es una pregunta que me ha hecho todos estos años, si yo hubiera podido contar con estos recursos, muchas de las tragedias, específicamente en mi vida personal, hablando de mí, como sobreviviente de violencia doméstica, hubieran sido evitadas.
I always ask myself if I would have been able to count on these kinds of resources, the kinds of tragedies that I may have been able to avoid.
Porque la violencia doméstica no termina ahí. Yo tuve que salir trágicamente por un intento de asesinato y con una estabilidad mental y emocional muy pobre debido al trauma y la consecuencia después que me llevó a perder mis hijos un tiempo.
Because the domestic violence does not end there. I had to leave very tragically, and with a kind of a stability, instability, and mental and emotional. It was also, I was also very poor, and that was due to the fact that I had suffered such great trauma, and the consequences of the trauma that after that then took me to unfortunately lose my children for a short period of time, and they were put in the hands of DCF for a short time. And where they were actually abused sexually, and you know, that's why one thing unfortunately leads to another.
Que me llevó un tiempo a perder a mis hijos y puestos en manos de DCF, donde poco tiempo después fue abusado sexualmente uno de mis hijos, el hijo del señor que me apuñaló, y así una cosa lleva a otra. Así que no solamente estaremos salvando vidas, sino también podemos evitar otras tragedias consecuencias a esto.
So it's not just that we're saving lives, it's also that we're now able to avoid a lot of these kinds of tragic consequences from happening.
Aprovechando también que la señora del Lodge está aquí, le quiero dar las gracias porque el Lodge también me recibió y me abrieron las puertas y fueron de gran ayuda para mí y mi familia.
I wanted to also give a big thanks to the women from Lodge, because Lodge also gave me a place to stay in my most difficult moments, and so I really wouldn't be here without the help of Lodge, and I can't thank you enough.
Gracias a todos y gracias Dios.
Thank you to all, and thank you especially to God.
Amen. Next is Devitria. I don't know where she's hiding.
And I use the pronouns of she and hers. I work at Miami Worker Center, and I'm a proud survivor of domestic abuse.
All right.
I was in a domestic relationship for 6 months with a man who stalked and beat me. He also had guns. The first week we were together, he tried to set my room on fire, and I was in it. I worked at Miami-Dade County and had to be at work at 6:30 in the morning. He followed me to and from work because of the stress. I almost lost my job. If my abuser wasn't killed by someone else, the violence would have continued, and I don't know what I would have done. This bill saved lives, make it easier for women like myself to leave when I was scared and I couldn't leave my job. However, I had bills to pay. I am grateful for Representative Joseph for listening to us and making the bill happen. Thank you.
So again, this bill is a collaboration of many organizations over many years, including the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Health, Florida Latina Advocacy Network,
All right.
the Florida Immigrant Coalition, the New Florida Majority, Community Justice Project, Women's March, the Domestic Violence Sexual Assault Council, the Miami-Dade Commission on the Status of Women, and so many more.
Yes.
We also have Angela Diaz from the Victim Response Inc. that's going to speak next.
All righty, all righty.
Wow, this has taken a long, long time. So my name is Angela Diaz Vidallera. I'm the executive director of the Lodge. We are the not-for-profit shelter here in Miami-Dade County. I'm here today representing the shelter and the Florida Coalition Against Domestic Violence, on which board of directors I sit. I am at awe about what has happened with this bill. I want to thank, I know that really it happened because of the people in Tallahassee, but nothing starts at the top. Nothing starts at the top. This has been going on for years, and you guys are talking about 2011. A bill was introduced in the year 2000, and it was fully opposed in Tallahassee. So I want to thank all of the survivors that are here today and those who are not but contributed to this effort. I want to thank from the bottom of my heart Marcia Olivo, who never gives up. And just today, in a brief interaction we had, I said, I've given up. And she said, don't. Just get in touch with what your beliefs are and move on. And so that's what you all do every day. That's what fuels the work that I do on behalf of women and children. I want to thank Representative Joseph and Senator Gibson for the work that they did, but truly from the bottom of my heart, I want to elevate all of you who have experienced this and whose children have been impacted by this. But like others have said before, this doesn't take care of it, does it? This is only a way out for some women. For some women, it gives them a chance to move on and to be safe. I hope that we don't stop here in Tallahassee, because we know where it ends. It ends with holding the abuser accountable. So thank you all, and continue the good work that you do.
Thank you so much. And finally, our champion, who's been hustling to get this bill heard and passed in every committee unanimously, Representative Dottie Joseph.
cry up in this back. You know, it's okay to cry. I think sometimes we feel like we have to be these strong, black, brown, whatever women all the time. But you know what? It's okay to just feel it.
Yes.
It's okay to let that cleansing happen.
Yes.
So I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret. I can't even watch the news. I'm that sensitive because I see stuff and I just cry.
Yes.
Because and I want to fix it, but I can't fix it all. So I just don't watch the news. Like I just can't. So I'm going a little bit off script. My name is Dottie Joseph, and I proudly represent Florida House District 108, right where we're
All
standing.
right.
And since I'm a product of this district, I tend to speak all of the languages of the district. Donc moi c'est Dottie Joseph, et me fier pour me représenter district 108. Mi nombre es Dottie Joseph, soy representante del distrito 108. Now, don't laugh. I speak like just enough Spanish to negotiate a discount or ask you to vote for me. So, I'm here today out of a conversation that I had on the campaign trail. Many of you know the story with Marcia. We were talking about different things that are going on, and I just wanted to know how to help. What could I do to help support her work? And this was one of the things she put on my radar screen. I have a lot of things on my radar screen, but you take what you can and you move with what you can. The reality is right now in Tallahassee, we are begging for crumbs. That's real talk. Can I just like speak real to you right now? Because you know, elections have consequences, and I'm not gonna make this a political thing because it's not. But the reality is the houses, both the House and the Senate and the governor's mansion are controlled by a group of people. And they control what comes in and what comes out. This, fortunately, was one that they allowed to come out, right?
All right.
And we're grateful for that, right? Because I wouldn't be standing here talking about this legislation had the Speaker of the House, Jose Oliva, not given it his blessing, had each of the chairs of the committees who are all Republican not given it their blessing and decided that it was gonna be okay. Now, was it easy? No, you have to meet, you need to work your bills. You need to do what you need to do. And I'm one of those people that knows how to persist, right?
Yes.
Because we know how to persist.
Yes.
Our life experiences have taught us how to persist.
Yes.
We don't have a choice, because if we don't do it, who's gonna do it for us?
Yes.
All right, y'all gonna make me preach up in this bad boy. Let me just chill out. So, the bill. For those who don't know, HB 563 would allow victims of domestic violence to qualify for unemployment compensation if they have to leave work because of a domestic violence situation. Most women and some men have experienced some form of domestic violence, stalking, or aggression because of an intimate partner. And it's something that we struggle with, we don't really talk about, and it's not a black or brown issue. This is across all ethnicities, all races, and it's part of dismantling the patriarchy, quite frankly.
Yes.
Because what it is, it's somebody decides they want to control you for whatever reason, and this is the means that they have to do it. And they're too weak to handle things themselves, so they want to use their fists. Or sometimes it's emotional abuse. Whatever it is, it's a superiority complex, and they are some of the worst kinds of bullies.
Yes.
And you know what? I don't like bullies. Ever since I was in elementary school, I take them down. I ain't playing. You laughing. Real talk. Mess around with my people? Not on my watch. Anyway, so as you heard, there's shelters available, and sometimes they run out of space, right?
Yes.
So we need more resources in that arena. But even if you're able to escape to a safe place, whether it's a relative's home, a shelter, whatever the case may be, you still have to go to work,
Yes.
right? Like, how are you gonna pay your bills? And if this person was integrated in your life, and usually they are, they know where you work. They know your schedule. They know when you're showing up. You know, I'm proud that these women were here to share their testimonies, but let me share one story with you that was shared by a colleague of mine out of Orlando. Senator Geraldine Thompson, who's now serving in the House, told a story about one of her constituents who back in the 2000s came over from Vietnam, was married to this gentleman who was also from Vietnam. And this man was super controlling, imposed a curfew, treated her like a child, like all kinds of foolishness. And then she decided she had enough, so she left the situation. And she got another boyfriend, and she was trying to move on with her life. She got a little job at Publix, working as a cashier. And one day, this man showed up at her job, came up through her line, and shot her, dead. Then he went outside, distraught, whatever, and then when the police approached him, he shot himself. And I think sometimes people don't understand how serious it is.
Yes.
And I think and sometimes, again, sometimes men deal with this, but most of the time it's women. When you have a man who's coming at you, trying to control what you do, who you are, who you see, who you don't see, what you do, what you don't do, how your self-esteem is, there's a problem. And if the only thing stopping you from leaving this terrible situation is your job, this little piece of legislation it's not a panacea, right? It doesn't solve all of our ills, but it gives you a little help in the meantime to hold you over until you can find a safe job, right? For the strong men and women that need it and the children that depend on them, it provides some temporary assistance. So it's not only good for the employee, it's good for the employers because it keeps the workplace safe. You don't want this crazy person showing up at your workplace. And for a long time, that's what held up the legislation because they thought, so I've spoken to a lot of reps. I like to do my research to see what happened in the past, what was the problem. Sometimes it was the numbers, sometimes it was the finances, sometimes it was the employers. So I proactively shut all of that down with the help of some of my colleagues to address every concern that they could possibly come up with. And sometimes you can't address every concern, but you can do your part, right? And then the rest is up to somebody else. But we do our part. Deep breath. So I want to thank the people I thanked already, but you guys weren't here when I presented the bill on the House floor, so I'll take a moment to thank them again. I want to thank Marcia Olivo, who you already heard from. I want to thank Jasmine Rogers-Shaw. I want to thank Charo Valero, who's not here, but part of I want to thank all of my colleagues, regardless of their political party, because we all got together to support this legislation. Like everybody, supportive, co-sponsoring, the whole 9 yards, putting me in touch with people, like everybody got behind this. Part of that because they felt my heart, but part of it, most of it is because of they know. They know. Now, we need to move from knowing to doing. You know, we always talk about faith, and this faith without works is dead. So let's just get to work.
All right.
So standing together, I hope that this legislation, and I hope it goes through the Senate just as smoothly with a 100% unanimous bipartisan vote, and that the governor signs it into law. Those pieces are still yet to come. But right now, standing together, I want to send a strong message to victims and survivors of domestic violence all across the state of Florida and beyond, right? Because it's not just a Florida issue, that we stand with you, that I stand with you. And this part I'm going to say it in English first, then I'm saying it in Creole. I'm going to have my boy help me out in Spanish. Hey, I know my limits. All right, so thank you. I want you to know that you're not alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. It's not your fault. You did not bring it upon yourself. You don't deserve it, and you're not crazy. That there is help here if you need it. And to learn about the resources available, there are 2 phone numbers that I'm going to give you. One is the Florida Domestic Violence Hotline, which can connect you to shelters, helping you put together a financial plan, access to match savings accounts, a protective order, or if you just need to talk to somebody. That number is 1-800-500-1119. Once again, that's 800-500-1119. And the national hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Once again, that's 1-800-799-7233. En créole, nous besoin connaître que ou pas pour compte. C'est pas vous même qui cause ça. ou pas mérité et ou pas moun fou. Sous besoin d'assistance, il y a assistance pour. Il y a deux numéros de téléphone pour nous si nous avons besoin de relais. Yon c'est numéro en Floride, c'est un hotline pour moun qui a des problèmes avec de violence domestique. Numéro ça c'est 1-800 500 11 19. Encore numéro ça c'est 1-800 500 11 19. Pour numéro national, si vous pas en Floride ou bien même si vous en Floride, vous avez besoin de l'autre numéro pour relais. Numéro ça c'est 1-800 799 72 33. Encore numéro ça c'est 1-800 799 72 33. Vous pouvez assister si vous avez besoin de joindre assistance légale pour protéger contre le monde là. Si vous avez besoin d'un plan financier, si vous avez besoin de côté pour arrêter. Tout bagay ça yo ka assist ou bien même si juste besoin de parler avec eux pour comprendre qui ça va faire. Yo là pour yo aider. Et ahora en español.
Entonces, todos juntos le queremos mandar un mensaje a todas las víctimas y los sobrevivientes por a través de todo el estado de la Florida, que la Asamblea del Estado de la Florida te respalda y siempre está aquí permaneciendo contigo. Primero te queremos dar un mensaje que no estás sola y no tienes que sufrir en silencio, que no es tu culpa y no lo deberías de brindar encima de ti, que no lo mereces y que no eres loca o loco, que hay ayuda por si acaso lo necesitas. Para aprender sobre los recursos que tenemos disponibles, aquí hay 2 números de teléfono que puedas llamar. Primero es la línea para los sobrevivientes de violencia doméstica aquí en el estado de la Florida. El número es 1-800-500-11-19. Una vez más, 1-800-500-11-19. Si necesitas llamar la línea nacional, el número es 1-800-799-7233. Una vez más, 1-800-799-7233. También te podemos conectar con otros recursos, por ejemplo, ayuda legal para que te puedas lograr un orden protectivo, donde encontrar un refugio, para que puedas también desarrollar un plan financiero y cómo es que puedas accesar cuentas de ahorro, y también solamente si tienes que hablar con alguien. Todos estos recursos están disponibles para ti.
And in fin, translation, so let me get back to English. Lastly, if you know someone or suspect someone who's being abused, we encourage you to just stay available and engage in their life. And even though they may pull away, because if they get the courage to eventually stand up and walk away, they will need you. Feel free to share these numbers and hotlines. And with that, I'm just gonna say, I love you, we're here for you, and we're gonna keep fighting.
Okay, thank you all very much for coming. Like we said, this bill, if it gets signed into law, will make Florida the 42nd state. So with that, I say it's about time. And again, we're grateful. We're so grateful. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for trusting our voices and standing with us. We look forward to so much more work and collaboration, because you're going to be there for that 8 years. You're going to be there. So what we want to do now is, before people disperse, we're going to take a very quick picture. So I'm going to move this podium. If you all could get a little